My talk today is on developing VR-based training simulators and doing them economically. Quick introduction, my name is Meyers. I'm the president of ForgeFX Simulations. We're a company that specializes in the development of 3D training simulators. And with the onset of consumer-based VR, we've had a huge demand for VR-based training simulators. We see ourselves as industry agnostic, so we work for mining companies that develop mining equipment, construction companies, healthcare companies, basically anyone that's got a complicated piece of equipment or process, we'll build a simulator for them. And here's just a few of our clients, so Joy Global, JLG, Phoenix Mining, GE, Global Ground Support. So again, just a wide array of different industries that we develop simulators for. And it's a little difficult to say what is VR on a flat PowerPoint presentation. And so this image here is doing its best on a flat screen to show you what VR is. So if you're not aware of what it is, it's basically putting yourself inside of a 3D space rather than just looking at a 2D representation of one. So the user has the ability to look around, to move their body, 6 degrees of freedom, 6 DOF is what they call it, while feeling like you're completely immersed within the virtual experience. And it's typically used for games, but we're using it obviously for training simulators, and I'll discuss where the parallels lie between the two. And currently there's basically 3 different types of VR. Mobile VR, which is like a Gear VR, which is just got a cell phone running as the CPU, the GPU, and the renderer. And so there's also the Google Cardboard, which is probably the most popular mobile VR. There's also the Oculus Rift, which is probably the most popular one, the most marketing's been put behind that. And that has 6 degrees of freedom where it's got head tracking along 3 different axes, as well as positional tracking along 3 different axes. And then there's some of the PlayStation and HD Survives that have room scale tracking, where you're able to move around in a 3D space and it's able to sense your whole body from crouching or standing. So those are the 3 basic formats of VR currently. Yeah, sure. Why do you want head tracking? Well, for example, we build crane simulators where the operator has their hands on the controls, but oftentimes they're looking away from the controls. So I need to give that operator those 6 degrees of freedom, the ability to be looking down at something while still maintaining controls. So that gives me the ability to, before we had head tracking, if I want to turn my head, I have to reach out, grab the mouse, turn left, turn right, and it kind of breaks that suspension of disbelief. This way we are, letting the user interact with the world the way they normally do. And again, here's just a slide about those 6 degrees of freedom. So mobile VR has rotational tracking. Some of the tethered solutions have positional tracking. And then some of the more advanced, higher horsepower, like the HTC Vive, has room scale tracking. And really, still figuring out what VR is, in my mind, it's just the evolution of storytelling, right? We started with the spoken word, then we went to cave paintings, then books, radio, TV, and so VR is really just the latest iteration of our storytelling media. Where it goes next, who knows? AR is something we'll talk about briefly, mixed reality, MR. And a lot of people say, well, wait a second, VR has been around forever. Why are you talking about VR now? And it's true, VR has been around since the 1950s. But it was a really expensive headset, really low resolution. You needed a stack of computers to run it. And the reason VR is really in the news these days is because it's the onset of consumer-based VR. So in 2012, Oculus released the DK1, Development Kit 1 for the VR headset. And what allowed them to do that was the cell phone industry. So smartphones, needed these fast screens, touch-active, super-fast processors. And so the VR industry piggybacked on top of the ability to produce these screens, which is needed for that headset. You need a fast, lightweight screen. And so with the onset of the smartphone, the VR industry and the consumer-based VR was possible. And so we see 2012 as that inflection point. And VR is now possible with consumer, and you can produce a headset for, this is an $80 device with a $500 phone running inside of it, but still that's way cheaper than 5 years ago. If you were at ITSEC, they were selling VR headsets for about $35,000, which was just outside of most people's capabilities. So that's why VR is now in the news and why marketing is such a big push to develop VR because it's consumer ready. And in addition to the screens, there was a bit of a technology convergence that allowed for VR to be ready to be marketed to the public. So we discussed the head-mounted displays are available, but also fast computers and graphics cards are now really affordable. So for $1,000 or less than $1,000, you can buy a PC that 5 years ago would have cost you, 10 times that amount. In addition, modern game engines like Unity and Unreal have come out that allow you to produce super high-quality games, high resolution, super fast frame rates, and they're prolific. If you walk around the convention floor today, most of the simulators we're seeing were developed in a game engine. And then you've got high-speed networks. So being able to deploy your application is necessary. It's great if you can produce it, but if you can't deploy it, no one's going to get to see it. So with the high-speed Wi-Fi and internet connections, you can produce an application, download it to a phone, and just distribute it really widely. So it's the convergence of those four things that really led to consumer-based VR taking off. And we are basically co-opting video game technology to produce our simulators. That's what our company does, is we develop training simulators using video game technology. And there's a lot of crossover, and I'll talk about that a little bit more, but there's a lot of crossover between simulators.
Marcelo Sosa, please report to office 207.
So a couple examples of our simulators, and you can come down to our booth, you can actually see it right down there at the end of this aisle. We're developing an aircraft de-icing training simulator for global ground support. They're the largest manufacturer of aircraft de-icing trucks, and we've developed a VR-based training simulator for them that takes advantage of real-world controls, hand tracking system. It's also a multi-user application. So just like in the real world, we've got 4 or 5 trucks de-icing one aircraft. We're doing the same thing. That's very commonplace in video games, where you've got lots of different people running around the world. So we're using that same technology to develop training simulators. Same thing for JLG. They're the largest producer of aerial boom lift and work platforms. We develop training simulators for them, again, using video game technology to produce fast-running, easily deployed simulators. And so it's a little difficult these days to talk about VR without talking about AR. The two are very tied together, and people talk about MR, mixed reality. And the reason I'm talking about VR is that it's consumer ready today. You can go out and you can purchase this at Best Buy or Amazon.com. There's hundreds of titles available for VR, whereas AR is not quite ready for prime time. If you see the HoloLens, it's a very narrow field of vision. Maybe this year, next time, there'll be a lot more AR, but currently the Microsoft HoloLens is pretty much the only game in town. There's the Magic Leap that's coming out, but it's not consumer ready. So that's why we're talking about VR, not AR yet. But as you know, things move quickly. And so, you've seen the commercials, you probably see VR everywhere, and that's pretty good if you're trying to, sell a product. But if you're trying to convince a client that they should be developing VR-based simulators, you kind of need to move beyond that hype. I can't just say, look, VR is everywhere, you should be developing a VR simulator. Any savvy client's going to want to know that the technology has some legs to it, that there's a good ecosystem for developing VR-based simulators. And the issue is that there's not a lot of, concrete evidence that VR, since it's such a new field, there's not a lot of evidence that this is a viable platform. And so we look to the video game industry again to prove that this is a viable platform, there's a lot of money behind it, and it makes sense to be developing VR. And so looking at the numbers, you can see that in 2015, the video game industry was a $91.5 billion business. And so if you're trying to figure out, does the gaming industry support VR? Is there enough money behind it? It's clear that in 2015 there was, and the predictions show that the market will continue to grow and grow and grow, that more money is being poured into video games. And then, if you look at the platforms that are being used, you can see on the screen the fifth one down is VR. 60% of all video game platforms are developed for VR. So within 4 or 5 years, VR has become, just under PC, smartphones, PlayStation, and Xbox, VR is the most prolific platform. And so with the onset of VR becoming a accepted platform, it makes sense that new users who will be using simulators will be familiar with VR in years to come. And VR is forecasted to be, in 10 years, to be a $38 billion business. So it's, these are pretty clear indicators, which is what I need to tell my clients. I'd say there are financial figures that back up developing VR-based simulators. In addition to the financials, it's nice to be able to point to published studies. And a lot of people will say, well, VR is so new, how can there be published studies? But the IEEE has been studying VR. They have a segment of their organization that's been studying VR for, I think, 25 years now. And you can go to their website, and they've got lots of published papers about VR. So if someone is interested in knowing, is this really going to help me overcome my training hurdles? It's not like it's such a new field that there's not documentation. I can go online and point to lots of papers. These are just a couple different examples of papers that prove, that they've done the studies for years that show that VR helps people understand how to do things in an immersive environment. And the IEEE, like I said, they've been having their conference now for 24 years. The next one's coming up in March. And they're studying the standards. So they're not just studying, VR works or VR doesn't work. They're figuring out exactly what part of it works, how to avoid some of the motion sickness, how to deal with tactile feedback. So it's really nice to have a professional organization that's studying these things that I can point to for my clients so that they can see that I'm not just trying to sell them the latest hype. And again, indicators are that VR is here to stay. You can look at things like the Microsoft Kinect, and people say, this is the greatest thing ever, but there weren't a lot of games being produced for it. So if the example I think of is the iPhone. When the iPhone first came out, you could go to the App Store and just see hundreds of games coming out, and applications coming out of the iPhone. That's a clear indicator that this is a viable platform to be developing for. On the other hand, there was the Microsoft phone, and everyone thought, Microsoft, they're a big company, I should be developing applications. But if you looked at the Microsoft Store, there was just about no games coming out for it, and no applications. And that was a pretty good indicator that that phone was going to fail, which in fact it pretty much has. In addition, you can look at corporate support. So I can say, look, Facebook just bought Oculus for $2 billion. HTC Vive went all in on VR. They pretty much revived that company. They were pretty much in the ashes and they've risen like the phoenix. Microsoft with the AR, the HoloLens, they're not quite in VR yet. They're betting on AR, it seems like. Samsung obviously is a huge player with all of their devices running in phones. Google just put out the Daydream, the Google Cardboard, and everyone's pretty good at Apple. It's going to be a fast follower and produce a VR application. So it's nice to be able to show your clients, look, we've got the financials, we've got the studies, and we've got corporate support. So how do we do it, right? This talk is about how our company develops affordable simulators. It's not just about developing VR-based simulators, it's about how do we do it affordably. And like I said before, the cat's pretty much out of the bag. Basically, if you walk around and ask people what engine are you using, they're either going to say Unreal or Unity. And you want to be using a game engine to produce simulators. You don't want to be going with a shop that's rolling their own in C++, because every new feature that we need to add, they're going to have to hand roll. Whereas if you're going with a game engine, there are so many parallels to video games and simulators that the game engines are able to do all of that thinking for you. Basically, you can focus on the content that's specific to your simulator, and all the other stuff like physics, AI, VR support is built into the game engine. So it just speeds up your process and allows you to produce games as simulators, in months rather than years.
What do you guys use?
We're using Unity. Yeah, we rely heavily on Unity. And so this is the Wikipedia definition of a game engine. It's middleware that allows for games to be produced quickly. Again, allowing you to focus on the information and the specific stuff of your simulator, not worrying about all the other stuff that's going to be built into it. The analogy I like to say is if I was going to build a chess set, I wouldn't go out and build a lathe first. I would buy a lathe and then build my wood pieces. So the same thing can be said. You wouldn't go build your own game engine and then build a simulator. You take it off the shelf game engine and build your simulator with it. And there are lots of game engines. Like I said, we're using Unity, and Unreal's another popular choice, but there's also Game Maker Studio, CryEngine, Rage, Avid, Vision, all good engines. Different ones have different uses. Unity is probably the most popular one for VR because they have really tight connections with lots of the companies. So right out of the box, they can support the Gear VR, they can support the Oculus, they can support the HTC Vive. And you want to pick a game engine that has strong ties with HMD manufacturers, head-mounted display manufacturers. Unity's been fantastic with that. Ever since the beginning of Oculus, they've supported the Oculus VR. HTC Vive, Samsung Gear VR, and it's just really nice to be able to develop your application in the game engine and then just choose, okay, which one am I supporting? Save as Oculus. Rather than if I'm rolling my own game engine, I can build my simulator and then say, okay, now I have to figure out how to make it work on an HMD. So you want to pick a game engine that automatically supports the head-mounted displays. And Unity has shown just tremendous support for all of the different VR engines. They haven't, VR headsets, they haven't picked one specifically and said we're only going to support Oculus, we're only going to support Daydream. All the different manufacturers, no matter how big or how small, are tying into Unity. And this isn't a Unity commercial, it just happens to be the one that we rely on. So again, tying it back to developing things affordably, you want to be able to support as many different devices as possible. So I don't want to have to build a simulator that runs on a PC and then build another one that runs on an iPad, one that runs on a phone with a head-mounted display. Game engines allow you to support multiple devices. So offer once, deploy anywhere, that's what they say. And it's not just devices, it's platforms. So this is about more than 20 platforms that Unity currently supports. So iOS, Android, Windows, supports Linux, BlackBerry, Steam. Basically, you want to be able to distribute your simulator to as wide a possible audience as you can. And with the game engine that supports all these platforms, you're pretty much able to export out versions very inexpensively for all these different platforms. So you don't have to force your user to use a PC, whatever platform they happen to be running on. You can pretty much guarantee that your simulator will support those platforms. Multi-user is something that's built into video games these days, so it's very uncommon to buy a video game that's single-player only. Most of them connect to the internet, and you can play with multiple people. And the reason I've included this as one of the things to build it affordably is that if you're building AI into your simulator, it's really expensive, right? Trying to come up with all of the different permutations for what a potential user might do. But if I build a multi-user simulator, once that's in place, you actually have 2 people, or 3 or 10 or 50 in an environment doing things on their own, and it's as if there's AI in there. I didn't have to program any of it. So adding multi-user is non-trivial. There's a lot of work to be done to get network support. But once that's in place, you're able to just simulate all kinds of experiences, things you could never predict would happen. So that's a really nice feature to have. And then consumer hardware. If you're going to be developing affordable simulators, you need to be using off-the-shelf, consumer off-the-shelf hardware. And things have changed significantly over the years. For now, I think I just pulled this screenshot last night. For $800, you can buy an Alienware Aurora gaming desktop from Dell that will run any VR headset. So gone are the days of stacks and stacks of racks of computers. That would just destroy your profit margin. But if I can go out and say, okay, buy this for $100, buy this computer for $800, and there's my VR station, it's a really affordable way for my client to get up and running in VR. A large developer community is important too. So when evaluating a game engine, you want to see how many developers are out there, right? I wouldn't want to pick a game engine where there's only like a handful of 13 guys who use it. So if you go onto the Unity developer site, you'll see there's tens of thousands of developers. And so clients come to us, we hope that they stay with us, but what I tell them is, look, if you're not happy with our services, take the source code and find any other developer to go out and use it. So you're not tied into a developer, that way you're assured that there's a wide pool of developers to choose from. Okay, so since I've got 5 minutes, I'm just going to jump into some of the practical steps here. If you're going to try and do stuff affordably, play test, iterate, play test, iterate. You say that over and over. So if you're going to build something, don't wait till the last 10% of your development schedule. Test it every day, every week. Because it's such a new field. You're in uncharted waters. You're going to have to figure out what works and what doesn't work. Develop PC-based VR. So even if you're developing mobile VR, our recommendation is to develop it on the desktop as well. So even if I'm only going to be deploying mobile VR, deploy a desktop version so that my developers don't have to publish a build, upload it, put it on the phone, test it. If you're developing desktop VR, they can be tested as they go. This goes back to play testing, it saves time. The Performance analysis tools are built into most game engines. We always say to use them regardless of if you're developing for VR or just for desktop, but especially developing for VR, right? It's the way VR works is it's two versions of the same simulator, one slightly offset, running at the same time. So right away you double the amount of processor speed you need, or the amount of processing power that you're going to need. And the performance analysis tools that are built in on a daily basis, you can see, what's bogging down your CPU or your GPU. So you can make those fast changes rather than waiting to the end and being like, why am I getting 5 frames a second? And then having to go back in time and figure out what did this. This will show you exactly where along the lines your mistakes were made. Determine your platform early. So if I'm developing a full-blown simulator where I've got aircraft flying, tanks, and particle systems, yeah, I'm going to need a tethered solution hooked up to a PC. But if I'm just developing a 360 look-around view, yeah, maybe I can get away with a mobile device or a cardboard, in which case my cost is like, $50 or $60 rather than $1,500. And so I can lower my target cost of my simulation stations if I figure out which platform I'm going to be targeting early on. Go to VR conferences. So there's a handful of like 6 or 7 VR conferences in the next 6 months. Go to these conferences. Stand on the shoulder of giants. Learn the mistakes that other simulator developers have learned, because it's such a new field. I can't go out and buy a book on how to develop a VR simulator yet. They're just not available yet. It's such a burgeoning field. So go to these conferences, learn from these people that have made mistakes. And then listen to podcasts too. Voices of VR, Inside AR. These guys go around and they interview some of the biggest VR developers. And they give you, tricks of the trade, secrets that they've learned. And it's, for our company, that's some of the most important stuff we've learned is they'll go out and interview guys that developed the original. I could go out, I could buy the tools, I could buy 40 feet of copper plumbing, copper piping and fittings, and I could go on YouTube and maybe learn some of the skills. And I could probably put my bathroom together, but you probably wouldn't do that, right? You go out and find an experienced plumber, someone who's, who can see a portfolio of his work. He's got the tools, he's got the knowledge. And the same thing is true for simulation development. And it's not just technical expertise, it's creative as well as programming that's needed. So our recommendation is typically our recommendation is to hire external teams. There are pluses and minuses. If you're developing internal teams, there's more ramp-up time. You want to make sure that if you train all your people for 2 years on how to develop VR, the time is up, I'm being told. There are pluses and minuses, but overall, since VR is such a new field, it's a new skill to learn. It's probably more economical to develop an external team, to hire an external team. And you might have guessed where I'm going with this. We're right down there at group 2807. This has been really quick. That was the fastest 30 minutes of my life. But please come and talk to us. Try out some of our simulators. We've got 2 or 3 of them there, hand tracking, VR, real-world controls, and we'd love to show them to you guys. I know I'm out of time, but if there are any questions, I'll take them now or after.